How are you all going today? I wanted to hop on and chat about today habits, bad habits and good habits. Somebody asked me yesterday, why is it easier to start a bad habit than it is a good habit? It's a fair question, isn't it? So why is it easier to start a bad habit than a good habit? Because the bad habits you started a long time ago, a really long time ago, and you just keep reinventing them and making it seems like you've picked up a new bad habit, but you haven't really picked up a new bad habit. You've just reinvented an old previous habit in a new way. You've either turned it from maybe you gave up smoking and took up eating, or maybe you gave up drinking and took up smoking, or maybe you gave up all of those things and took up watching a lot of Netflix, or maybe you gave up eating a lot of chocolate and started eating a lot of something else. We really just pass along bad habit to bad habit, kind of. Remember on the monkey bars when we were kids? Did you have monkey bars and you could swing from bar to bar to bar? That's kind of how we go with our bad habits. We never really give up a bad habit and don't pick up another one unless we've actually taken the time to understand the mechanisms of what that bad habit was preventing you from experiencing, because that's generally why we have a bad habit. It's preventing us from experiencing an internal discomfort. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's depression, maybe it's anger, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's just that blanket word stress that we all have and use. So when you have a bad habit and you give up something, whether it's a food product, a substance product, or maybe even a bad habit of gossiping, or a bad habit of not making your bed, or something else that making your bed's probably not the best example, but where you've given up a bad habit, if you haven't actually really taken the time to understand what that bad habit was preventing you from experiencing, then you've most likely picked up another bad habit. And that's where people think that they pick up bad habits instead of good habits. So sometimes we especially go on diets because we want to pick up the good habits of eating well and exercising a lot. But if we haven't understood what the bad habits were preventing us from feeling, if we haven't understood what those unhelpful eating habits were doing, or those times where we sit on the couch and don't exercise, if we haven't understood what that is about, then it makes sense that the new good habits aren't actually going to stick, because we haven't taken care of, we haven't resolved what the underlying issue is behind the original bad habits of not eating well and not exercising. Does that make sense? You don't really pick up a new bad habit, you just reinvent an old one. You have the same habit, you're just exhibiting it in a different way. As I said, maybe you go from smoking to drinking, or to food, or to some other unhelpful behavior, but it's all to do with the same experience that you're feeling inside that it's taking care of. So to create a new good habit and release an old bad habit, you really need to find that understanding of what's happening inside of you when you learned that bad habit, and particularly what that habit was designed to help you feel at the time, which was relief. So unless you can take charge of your unconscious motivations, you will always find yourself falling back into old habits. That's what we call a relapse back into old habits, because we've all either experienced that ourselves, or we know other people who have lost lots of weight and then put the weight back on, or perhaps they've given up some other substance, maybe it was smoking or drinking, and then they've relapsed back into it. And what happens there is they haven't understood what's happening unconsciously, and so the new habit simply does not have enough foundation to last, to withstand when there's an emotional crisis or a buildup of stress, or something happens which creates that relapse back into an old habit. And the old habits, generally, if we're having a relapse, are the ones that aren't helping us. Habit change is way easier than we think. We've been taught to think that it's really hard to do because we've tried and we've found it not very easy to do. So it is actually much, much easier than you think. You just have a skills and knowledge gap. You don't have poor discipline. You don't have poor willpower. You don't have poor stickability. You don't have an addictive personality. You just have a skills and knowledge gap around how to create new habits and how to prevent a relapse back into old ones. That's all it is. It's way simpler than you think, and it can be a lot of fun, and it can be life-changing. So if you'd like to make a change in your life today, and if you think this video is helpful, please give me a like so that I know that I'm offering information that's of service to you, and then I can give you more of this. And if you think it's really helpful, please share it with your friends and share the information around, because that's what we do for friends, isn't it? We find something and we go, oh, I think I know somebody this will help, and we share it. So if you'd like to change your habits, do leave me a message or leave me a comment. And in the meantime, love what you create, take care, and I'll see you on another live. Bye for now.